Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the library. Okay, we love the Magic School Bus. Wouldn't it have been fun to be in Miss Frizzle's class? I remember watching this show when I was a kid and loving it. So let's see what Miss Frizzle's class gets to go do today. This is so exciting. This is a 3.1 accelerated reading level. The Magic School Bus Plants Seeds, a book all about living things grow, how living things grow. Every class probably learns about plants and seeds, but not every class has Miss Frizzle for their teacher. Oh boy. When Miss Frizzle does something, she goes all the way. She started by letting us plant a whole garden behind our school. Liz, you found a ladybug. A photographer was coming to take a picture of our garden, so we all wanted to look our best. These tomatoes will win prizes. To think that these beautiful tomato plants started from tiny seeds, Carlos said, and some soil, sunshine, and water, and some tender, loving care, and you've got this great garden. And once that photographer takes our picture, we'll be famous, Carlos said. We could be on the cover of Plant It magazine. Would you like me to autograph your seed packet, Dorothy Ann? I'll think about it, said Dorothy Ann. Phoebe was not as excited as Carlos. I wish I had the beautiful plant I raised at my old school. Tim put the finishing touches on a drawing. Phoebe smiled. That's it. Thank you, Tim, she said. Still, I wish I had the real thing for our picture this afternoon. Miss Frizzle spotted the drawing. Your plant looks lovely, Phoebe, she said. Not to worry. It's a simple matter to stop by your old school on a little field trip. Oh, could we? I was afraid of this. Hurry, we have to be back by 3. We all piled into the old school bus. Carlos worried that we might not get back in time for the photographer. This could take all day. Couldn't we fly or something, Miss Frizzle? Excellent idea, Carlos, she said. Suddenly the whole bus began to spin. It rose in the air as if it had wings. It did have wings. We were riding in a ladybug. Hang on! Oh no, we're an insect. As we flew over buildings and trees, Phoebe began to look nervous. What if Mr. Seed Plot sees us? She asked. We never turned into a ladybug when he was my teacher. Just then, we all saw a school below. Phoebe stared. There it is, she gasped. The bus swooped in low through the school's garden. It looked like a jungle. Here's the perfect landing pad. Pedal, said Miss Frizzle. The bus landed with a bounce and crawled along the petal of a huge flower. This is one of my plants. Oh, I hope Mr. Seedplot doesn't see us. This stuff tastes sweet. We crawled one step too far. Suddenly, our ladybug slid into something wet and slippery. We're stuck in some goop, Ralphie yelled. It's called nectar, Dorothy Ann said. Follow me, class, said Miss Frizzle. She opened the doors and slipped out into the lake of nectar. We didn't know it then, but Mr. Seedplot could have reached out and picked us. Phoebe's plants certainly have grown well, he said to himself. She worked hard on them. I really should take one to her, new school for her. Mr. Seedplot heard a buzzing and he looked up. Ah, bees. I won't disturb their work right now, he said, turning to a patch of tomato plants. Oh boy, here come the bees. We also saw the bees coming, and they were heading right into our flower. Yikes! Air raid, shouted Arnold. Glory be, said Miss Frizzle happily. As soon as these bees drink enough nectar, then we can crawl out of here. All aboard the lady bus, please. Next stop, Anther. Whoa, hang on. Next stop where? Panther? Anther? Dorothy Ann is amazing. Even upside down, she could remember what she had read that morning. The anther is part of the flower that makes pollen, she said. These yellow balls are pollen? Pollen makes me achoo, sneeze. That is some big pollen. Off we flew, stuck to the leg of... Okay, did I skip a page? Hold on. I did. We don't want to skip a page. There we were on top of the anther with bees buzzing all around us. It was then that Phoebe caught sight of her old teacher. It's Mr. Seedplot, she yelled. He'll see us. Do something fast. Miss Frizzle stayed calm. No problem, she said cheerfully. We'll get out of here the same way the pollen does. Cool, that bee is covered in pollen. Choo! Miss Frizzle pressed a yellow button and we shrank again. Now we were as small as a grain of pollen. Phew, said Phoebe. That was close. Carlos was not so happy. We'll never get back to school in time for the photographer, he grumbled. Be of good cheer. We're on our way, said Miss Frizzle. Hang on, she called as the leg of a passing bee swept us up and away. There they go, right there. Off we flew, stuck to the leg of a bee. It was a short ride. At the very next plant, the bee bumped a flower and brushed us off along with a lot of pollen. At my old school, we never rode on bees. We are at your old school, Phoebe. Here we are, Miss Frizzle announced. Where? Phoebe asked. Tim showed her his picture. I think we're on this center part of the stigma, Tim said. The bee has dropped a lot of pollen here. With a big sneeze, Arnold bumped into a grain of pollen, knocked it over, and fell down some kind of tunnel underneath. Choo! Arnold found a pollen tube. Phoebe looked down the tube. Mr. Seedplot will never spot us down there, she said, and she hopped into the tube and slid down. Miss Frizzle beamed. That's the spirit. Take chances. Make mistakes. Check out pollen tubes. Yahoo! She yelled as she too jumped down the tube. We slid to the bottom of the pollen tube. Now where are we? Asked Carlos. Couldn't we just grab one of Phoebe's plants and go back to school? I don't think we need a whole plant, Keisha said. Look at this. She pointed to something that looked like a big rock. It's a seed. Hey, are these rocks? No, they're egg cells. I get it, Dorothy Ann said. When pollen from other flowers land on the stigma of another, it grows a pollen tube, finds one of these egg cells, and together they make a seed. Carlos still wasn't happy. No seed can grow into a plant by 3 o'clock, he said. Not without some help, said Miss Frizzle. She reached into the bus and pressed a button, and suddenly things went wild. The seeds were growing bigger and sprouting hair. We need to hurry things along a bit, said Miss Frizzle. Everyone on the bus, please. We all rushed back to the bus. The doors slammed shut, and we drove up and into one of the biggest seeds. As the seeds around us grew bigger, the flowers burst open. We felt the sunshine in and the breeze blowing through the windows of the bus. Suddenly, our seed flew into the air with us all on board. Here we go. These seeds have little flowers that help them fly around. Those hairs are like a parachute. Away we flew on the back of our seed, carried along on gusts of wind. Carlos still worried. Can't we go any faster? He asked. Well, Miss Frizzle said, that is pretty fast for a seed, but there are seeds that travel by attaching themselves to dogs or birds or people, she said, eyeing a man on a bicycle. No, choked Phoebe. That's Mr. Seedplot. But she was too late. Our seed had landed in Mr. Seedplot's hair. Oh, how embarrassing, Phoebe groaned. Hi, Mr. Seedplot. Hey, we're headed back to our school. Shh. Did someone call me? We were almost home, still stuck in Mr. Seedplot's hair, and we hadn't even been introduced. So we all shouted, "Hello, Mr. Seedplot!" Except for Phoebe, who was too embarrassed to talk. But when Mr. Seedplot swung his head to see who was calling him, we flew off. Last stop, Miss Frizzle announced. She pushed a button, and poof, the bus got bigger again. She pushed another button, poof, the seed which had landed in our garden grew into a tall plant with beautiful flowers. Ah, there you are, Mr. Seedplot said when he spotted us. I brought one of Phoebe's plants, but I see that she already has one. Nice to see you again, Miss Frizzle. Phoebe gasped. You mean you've met Miss Frizzle before? She said. Mr. Seedplot smiled. Yes, she's a very special person. Say, Seed, she brought us back just in time. Plant It, the Magic of Gardening. There's the magazine. They're on the cover. We had to agree, Miss Frizzle is special, all right. All right, here is a side letter. Letter to the editor of Plant It magazine. Dear editor, I like the pictures of the garden planted by Miss Frizzle's class, but there are a few things I'd like to point out to you about your article. First of all, I have never heard of a school bus that could turn into a ladybug or a grain of pollen. Second, I don't see how anyone could be allergic to such a big grain of pollen. It could never get inside his nose. Also, I would like to know how anyone could make a seed or a plant grow in just a few seconds. Even with my secret homemade fertilizer recipe, my plants take a long time to grow and to make seeds, like days, weeks, or even months. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a plant quite like Phoebe's. Did you invent that plant? And you must have done some kind of trick photography on Miss Frizzle's clothes, because no one dresses like that. Your faithful reader, D. Tractor. Dear reader, you're absolutely right. Could you send your fertilizer recipe? The editor. The end. Here's a little page about facts about flowers if you want to pause and read through all of those facts. Thanks for joining me. Let's find the go. Bye-bye.